The morning that changed everything. Emily woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing. It was a message from her brother Jake, wishing her a good morning. She smiled, thinking of the plans they had for the weekend. But that morning, the world changed forever. On her way to school, Emily received a call from her parents' number. Her hands trembled as she answered. The words accident and hospital pierced her heart. Jake had been in a severe car accident, and they weren't sure if he would survive. When she reached the hospital, everything seemed unreal. Her parents held her, whispering comforting words, but Emily felt numb. Memories of Jake flooded her mind, his laughter, teasing, late-night talks, and the way he always protected her. How could life be so cruel? How could someone so full of life be gone in an instant? Emily spent hours in the hospital room, staring at Jake's empty bed. Her world felt shattered. That night at home, she sat by her window, clutching the hoodie he had left behind, and cried. Every street she looked at reminded her of him. Every sound of laughter outside made her chest ache. She felt lost, alone, and abandoned. Emily wrote her first letter that night. Jake, I don't know how to live without you. Please guide me from wherever you are. She folded it carefully and placed it in a box she decided to keep. Hope was all that remained in her heart, fragile but alive. Letters that never arrived. Days passed, but Emily's heart ached every single moment. The emptiness in the house felt heavier with each passing hour. She couldn't stop thinking about Jake, replaying memories over and over in her mind. His laugh, the way he ruffled her hair, the little jokes he told at night, everything seemed to haunt her now. Emily decided to write him letters. She sat at her desk for hours, tears falling onto the paper as she poured out her emotions. Jake, I miss you so much. Every day without you feels endless. I keep hoping you will walk through the door and laugh at my silly jokes. Please come back to me. She sealed each letter carefully, placing them in a small wooden box she had kept in her room. She knew deep down that he wouldn't read them, yet writing became her way of coping with the unbearable pain. Her parents watched silently, unsure how to comfort her. They too were grieving, but Emily's sadness was sharper, more raw. She would walk to the window, looking at the empty street, imagining Jake running back to her. Every sound of footsteps, every car passing by, made her hope rise, only to crush it when reality reminded her he was gone. Even at school, Emily couldn't focus. Friends tried to cheer her up, but she couldn't smile. How could she explain that her heart felt hollow, that someone who was her entire world was now gone forever? She started keeping Jake's belongings close, his baseball cap, his backpack, his favorite comic books. They were small reminders of the brother she had lost, and yet they gave her a strange comfort. Emily knew life would never be the same again. But deep inside, hope flickered, fragile yet unextinguished. She kept writing letters, whispering prayers, and dreaming of the impossible, that one day somehow, Jake would return. Lonely walks. Emily started taking long walks in the park after school. It was the same park where she and Jake had spent countless afternoons together. Every bench, every tree, every pathway carried a memory. She remembered how Jake used to race ahead, laughing and teasing her for walking too slowly. Now she walked alone, her steps heavy, her heart aching with every breath. Children ran past her, their laughter echoing through the air. Emily watched them with misty eyes, wishing she could feel that kind of joy again. She sat on a bench they once shared and hugged her knees, staring at the ground. The world around her kept moving, but her life felt frozen in time. Losing Jake had made everything feel colorless. Sometimes, she carried Jake's old backpack with her. It still smelled faintly of his cologne, and holding it made her feel closer to him. Strangers passed by, glancing at her with curiosity or sympathy, but no one truly knew the weight she carried inside. How could they? They didn't know what it felt like to lose the person who made life bearable. As Emily walked deeper into the park, she whispered to Jake, telling him about her day, her fears, and how much she missed him. She imagined him walking beside her, listening quietly, offering his comforting smile. For a moment, the pain eased, and she felt less alone. But as the sun began to set, reality returned. The park grew quiet, and the absence of Jake became unbearable once again. Emily wiped her tears and stood up, knowing she had to return home. Each lonely walk reminded her that Jake was truly gone, yet it also strengthened her resolve to keep moving forward, even if every step hurt. The phone that stayed silent. Words. Emily became obsessed with her phone. She checked it every few minutes, even though she knew it would never ring with Jake's name again. Still, hope refused to leave her heart. Every vibration, every notification made her breath stop for a second. But it was never him. At night, Emily lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The silence felt loud, almost unbearable. She remembered how Jake used to call her before sleeping, just to make sure she was okay. Sometimes he would joke, sometimes he would give advice, but he never failed to remind her that she was not alone. Now, the nights felt endless. Her friends tried to reach out. Messages filled her phone, offering comfort and support, but Emily didn't have the strength to reply. Words felt empty. What she needed was Jake's voice, his laughter, his presence. No amount of kindness from others could fill that void. One evening, Emily scrolled through old messages from Jake. She read them again and again, smiling through tears. His last message still sat at the top of the screen. "Good morning, Em. Don't forget I'm always here for you." Her hands trembled as she pressed the screen, wishing she could type a reply and hear him answer. Emily placed the phone beside her pillow and whispered a silent prayer. She asked God to give her strength, to ease the pain that refused to fade. Though the phone stayed silent, she slowly realized something important. Jake's love hadn't disappeared. It lived on in her memories, in every message he had sent, and in the strength she was slowly learning to find within herself. Memories in the closet. One afternoon, while her parents were away, Emily opened Jake's bedroom door for the first time since the accident. The room looked exactly the same, as if he had just stepped out and would return any moment. Her heart pounded as she walked inside. The air felt heavy, filled with memories she wasn't sure she was ready to face. She slowly opened his closet. Jake's clothes hung neatly, untouched. She ran her fingers over his jackets, his shirts, and finally pulled out his favorite hoodie. Holding it close, Emily breathed in deeply. The familiar scent made her knees weak. Tears streamed down her face as she sat on the floor, clutching the hoodie like it was the last piece of him she had left. Emily found his old skateboard leaning against the wall and a box of comic books under the bed. She smiled faintly, remembering how excited Jake used to get when talking about his favorite heroes. He had always told her that real strength came from kindness and courage, not power. Sitting there, surrounded by his things, Emily realized how much he had shaped the person she was becoming. She took out her notebook and wrote another letter. "Jake, your room feels so empty without you, but your love is everywhere. I promise I won't forget the lessons you taught me. I promise I'll try to be strong." She placed the letter inside the hoodie's pocket, as if he might read it someday. Before leaving the room, Emily looked around one last time. The pain was still there, but something else had appeared alongside it, a quiet determination. She couldn't bring Jake back, but she could carry his memory forward. Closing the door gently, Emily knew she wasn't ready to let go yet, but she was learning how to live with the memories instead of running from them. A glimmer of hope. Weeks slowly turned into months, and although the pain never truly left, Emily began to notice small changes within herself. The heavy weight in her chest was still there, but it no longer crushed her the way it once had. One evening, her parents gently suggested that she talk to a counselor. At first, Emily resisted. She didn't want to talk about Jake with a stranger. His memories felt too personal, too sacred. Eventually, she agreed. Sitting in the quiet office, Emily struggled to find the right words. But once she started speaking, everything poured out: the anger, the sadness, the guilt, and the fear of forgetting her brother. The counselor listened patiently, reminding her that grief had no timeline and that healing didn't mean letting go of love. After that day, Emily began to allow herself small moments of peace. She returned to the park, not to cry, but to walk slowly and breathe deeply. The same places that once brought only pain now reminded her of Jake's laughter and warmth. She started smiling at small things: the sound of birds, the feeling of sunlight on her face, the kindness of strangers. Emily also began volunteering at a local community center, helping younger kids with their homework. Seeing their smiles gave her a sense of purpose. It felt like honoring Jake's spirit, because he had always loved helping others. For the first time since his passing, Emily felt a flicker of hope. Though the sadness still visited her, Emily learned that it didn't have to control her life. Jake's memory wasn't a source of endless pain anymore, it was becoming a source of strength. She realized that healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant learning how to carry love forward, even through loss. The last letter. One quiet night, Emily sat at her desk with the wooden box in front of her. Inside were all the letters she had written to Jake, pages filled with tears, memories, and unspoken words. She ran her fingers over the envelopes, realizing how far she had come since the day her world shattered. The pain was still there, but it no longer felt unbearable. Emily took out a fresh piece of paper and began to write what she knew would be her final letter. "Jake," she wrote, "I still miss you every day. Some days hurt more than others, but I want you to know that I'm learning how to live again. I carry you with me in everything I do." Her hand trembled, but her words felt lighter, freer. She wrote about the park walks, the counseling sessions, and the children she helped at the community center. She told him how his kindness continued to guide her decisions. For the first time, Emily didn't write from a place of desperation, but from a place of gratitude and love. When she finished, she folded the letter carefully and placed it on top of the others. Holding the box close to her chest, Emily whispered goodbye, not as a final farewell, but as a promise. A promise that she would honor Jake's memory by living fully, by loving deeply, and by being strong even when it was hard. Emily stepped outside and looked up at the night sky. The stars shimmered softly, and for a moment, she felt at peace. She imagined Jake smiling down at her, proud of how far she had come. The silence no longer felt empty. It felt comforting, like a gentle reminder that love never truly disappears. Moving forward. Months passed, and life slowly began to find a new rhythm for Emily. The pain of losing Jake never completely faded, but it softened with time. She learned how to live with it, how to breathe through it, and how to smile again without feeling guilty. Jake was no longer just a memory of loss, he had become a part of her strength. Emily kept Jake's hoodie folded neatly on a chair in her room. Sometimes, when the nights felt heavy, she would sit beside it and talk softly, sharing stories about her day as if he were still listening. It brought her comfort, reminding her that love doesn't disappear when someone is gone. It changes, but it stays. At school, Emily slowly reconnected with her friends. She laughed again, not because she had forgotten her brother, but because she knew he would want her to live fully. She continued volunteering at the community center, helping children who reminded her of the joy Jake once brought into her life. Each smile she helped create felt like a small tribute to him. One evening, Emily returned to the park where her healing had begun. She sat on the same bench and watched the sunset paint the sky in warm colors. Instead of tears, she felt gratitude. Gratitude for the love she had shared with Jake, for the memories that would never fade, and for the strength she had discovered within herself. As Emily stood up to leave, she whispered a quiet promise, to keep moving forward, to keep loving, and to never forget. Though Jake was no longer by her side, his spirit lived on in her heart. And with that, Emily stepped into her future, carrying both sorrow and hope, knowing that even after great loss, life could still hold meaning and beauty.